Hello, Asim, and thank you so much for being with me today. I'm very happy to speak to you. You've got a brilliant job at Microsoft, haven't you? In fact, I think you actually created the job for yourself, didn't you? So would you mind giving our viewers a bit of an idea of what your role at Microsoft is and how you got there?
Okay, yeah, I think I'd probably define it as I proposed the role than that way. So my role at Microsoft is what's called Green Cloud Advocacy. I'm actually the Green Cloud Advocacy lead. So I roll up into what's called the Developer Relations Organization I was about to say Manchester, Microsoft. I'm from Manchester. And kind of where our kind of focus area is a lot more on kind of what we call it kind of education, training, advocacy. So, connecting with developer audiences. Microsoft's a very developer and engineer focused organization. So my role is really to connect with engineers and engineers all over the world. And my specific focus area in green is trying to answer the question, or helping to try and answer the question, what is a green application? What is a green software application? What do we even mean when we say a green software application? And then helping to advocate for methods of building green applications, all disciplines, all areas, all technical domains. My area is more focused on cloud, but
Okay.
Doesn't stop me from touching all different areas.
And a high-level view of what a green application is.
Right, so because it means different things. This was one of the, when I first started, not even prior to this role, I was kind of deeply interested in the space.
Yeah.
And my conversations with people, who other people who are deeply interested in the space, and we'd often have to level set at the start, because we'd be like, well, what do you mean by green? Well, I mean by green this. Oh, I mean by green this. So are we talking about the same things? And even at kind of like Microsoft, we have like 4 different pillars of sustainability. We have carbon, waste, water, and ecosystems.
Yep.
United Nations has 17 development goals of sustainability. So like, well, what are we talking about? And what we've kind of decided to focus in on is basically carbon. So when I say green software application, I mean an application that emits less carbon into our atmosphere for the same kind of user experience, the same kind of user behavior. Yeah.
Okay. And that is important. Why? So what's the underlying problem you're trying to solve here?
Well, the underlying problem from a sustainability perspective, well, from a carbon perspective, is that carbon is acting as it's a greenhouse gas. It's like climate change, and it's essentially the driver of climate change are greenhouse gases, and greenhouse gases act like a blanket warming up the planet. Carbon dioxide is the most common greenhouse gas, and essentially kind of it traps heat in a very nuanced and specific way, which is causing us problems. And there are many different types of greenhouse gases out there. Carbon dioxide is just the most common, but for instance, there's methane, which has up to 80 times the heat trapping effects as carbon dioxide. However, it gets really complicated to talk everything, methane, carbon dioxide, etc., etc. So we normalize everything. Everything just gets normalized to carbon dioxide and then just gets shot to carbon. So that's why when I say carbon, I'm very specifically just talking about all greenhouse gases, and kind of just reduce the amount of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Was that the question?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So, because there's studies, isn't there, or people claiming that the IT sector or the IT industry emits as much greenhouse gases as the aviation sector.
Yeah.
So actually looking at the way you program your applications can have a real impact, I guess.
Well, I think and unfortunately, there's quite a few different reports here, so it kind of varies. But and in fact, it turns out even the equation equating it to the aviation sector also interestingly doesn't include the embodied carbon of I can't remember. Anyway, it varies. So that is more the cloud aspect of just cloud on its own is kind of equivalent somewhat to the aviation. But when you also look at kind of mobile devices, now Windows is run on colleagues I work with inside Microsoft remind me that Windows is run on 1 billion devices, and not just devices that Microsoft, not just Surface devices, but laptops and other things. So the potential, and I'm going to get the numbers completely wrong, but I think it's 9 to 15% is the total carbon emissions from all kind of ICT industries. That's all communication, all the networking, all laptops, all everything in the world. So the potential is for improvements is quite high when you factor in all of that stuff from a green software perspective.
Awesome. So, and if I'm a developer and I'm listening to this and I think, hey, I would love to get started, where do I go to find more detail? What's the thing we can get started with?
So the thing, and that's a really good question. That's something that I was really focusing on the first half of the first quarter of last year. And there's a few books I could reach behind and grab them and show you them. But there's a lot that's said and done and written about sustainability from a hardware perspective, especially when we talk about data centers and servers and laptops and devices and things like that. There's actually unfortunately very little that's written from a software perspective. Yeah, and I'd say that we're really, there's a few people in the world, and we're really kind of driving this forward. We have some of the greatest benefit you could get right now is by improving software rather than hardware, but unfortunately there's very little out there. Rather than reading lots of academic papers, which a lot of us have done, we tried to kind of really coalesce all the key things you need to learn together into a Learn module, a Microsoft Learn module, which you can find at aka.ms/SSE for Sustainable Software Engineering /Learn. And it's what's called the 8 principles of sustainable software engineering, which are kind of the 8 things that engineers are not told, or not taught, because it's not taught. The 8 things you need to just understand and be aware of them. And once you know those 8 things, it doesn't tell you, they describe it, it doesn't tell you the answers. It tells you it teaches you the ability to ask the right questions. Yeah. Which is the first step.
Awesome. Yeah. And as long as the user experience stays the same, it's no-brainer, should we say?
Yeah. It's unfortunately not that. It's not super. I will admit it's not super easy. It's not like click the switch. It is like you'll have to absorb this information and really think about it in your context and apply it. But there are solutions. I will definitely say there's solutions out there where, like anything in this space, we're just asking people to be more efficient. And you can be more efficient without really changing the end product. You're just being more efficient with how you make it, and that's it.
Great stuff. Thank you so much, Asim. Really enjoyed the conversation. All the best for the future.